Okay, the mic is ready, and take 20. Wow, there's a lot that is going on. There's a lot of good things. There's a lot of crazy things. The world seems insane, and my Tino takes are becoming juicier for me in that I am really stoked about hopefully moving forward and continuing to have insights and information about the situation on Steam. Continuing to support the Steemit team. Big shout out to the Steemit team. They mentioned my podcast, and that's really great for a person like myself who wants to build up a listenership to have, the top of the top. I mean, I'm on the Steemit platform. So for me, the top of the top is the Steemit team mentioning me and supporting, not only myself, but so many people. It's very inspiring because, let's face it, at the beginning of all this, there was a lot of uncertainty. There still is. There was a lot of confusion. There still is. And there's a lot of indecisiveness. But I'm noticing that the more information that is shared, whether it comes from me or from other people, the more the picture becomes clearer and people have a sense of calm that will allow them to make better decisions. And so I know that there are people who are listening to these podcasts and are indecisive, but I feel that I am doing my best to not present a personal issue or personal attack or a biased point of view. I came into this not knowing what the hell was going on. I took a break for 2 months from the internet completely. No internet at all for 2 months. And when I came back, there was this whole story. So I completely came in uninfluenced by anyone saying one simple thing. I'm going to look at the facts. I'm going to look at the arguments on both sides, and then I'm going to make up my mind. But because I'm an expressive person, because I have this passion for communicating my insights and the things, my opinions, and because I'm not afraid to speak what's on my mind, this has been a great opportunity for me to be able to express myself on the issue. And so I'm grateful for whatever support comes my way, and I'm grateful for whatever insights can help other people to make a decision in a moment of great indecisiveness. So thanks to everyone who is supporting whatever it is that Familia Curione is doing. And I'm going to see what I can do to broaden this out a bit because, look, when the engine is revving and the tank is full, keep pushing on the gas pedal and keep moving forward. See what comes out of it. That's what excites me in life. And it's part of my nature as well. So in the future, I will be going into hopefully many more other topics about human nature. But my hope is to also interweave it into not only the past of Steemit and Steam and but also the present and the future, so that I can have a way of sharing the things that I enjoy sharing to an audience that could benefit from it. Because that has been one of the difficulties in the past of teaching human nature and sharing the knowledge that I have of human nature. And I don't want to be. I'm also a student. I'm more of a student than a teacher because I don't want to come across as any kind of guru or anything like that. But when you have a subject that hardly anyone around you knows about, you have no choice but to step into the role of teaching. So I'm a student of human nature, but when given the opportunity and the possibility, I share whatever it is that I know about human nature. And one of the difficulties in the past is making it applicable. I once gave a lecture in Dublin, Ireland, on the 7 life energies. And about 2 weeks later, I encountered someone who was in the audience, and they complimented me. They said, really great lecture. But they said, don't be offended, but I really don't understand what these 7 life energies are useful for. But hey, you did a great talk. And I was stunned by that. I was taken aback because I didn't know how to respond. I didn't know how to give an answer that could help that person understand how the 7 life energies could be useful for that person. And that day I was awoken. That woke me up, and I said, this is something that is personal to me. And later I would find out through the human design system that it is because it is my nature to study human nature that I found the 7 life energies very useful. But I have over the years stepped away from that role because I have now understood, thanks to the insights from that person, that it has to be useful. It has to be applicable. So I'm finding a situation now where I can understand what's going on with the situation at Steam It, in the world in general, and with the Hive High Council and what they have done. And so these insights into human nature are helping me to better navigate the situation and understand why things are going how they're going and how they could go. So anyway, I won't get into that now because I want to take a step back and talk about Steam It and the sponsorship experiment. It's something that I came up with several days ago, about a week ago. I was thinking of ways to better understand how Steam It could improve. And in this moment of reflection, I came up with the Steam Diaries. But I came up with the Steam Diaries for another reason. This, however, because of what's being shared with me from people who are more on the inside and understand more the inner workings of what's happening at the moment. Big shout out to the Symbionts crew. I can't express enough how valuable the information and the knowledge that is being shared by this witness, which is helping me to really broaden my understanding and kind of relax more, because when you know more, you can relax more and not be confused, but also to change my decisions about certain things that I either want to do or want to express. So I realize that this is not the best time for this idea, but I want to share it anyway because I think in the future it could be valuable. So Steam It and the sponsorship experiment began with a reflection of mine as I was sitting here thinking about the situation and thinking to myself, well, wouldn't it be great if I went to my other platforms, let's say Facebook or YouTube, and sought out someone that I know personally that I could sponsor, and to basically ask this person to do me a favor if they felt like it. Obviously, I would find someone who would really want to enjoy this call it a project. And what I had thought to myself to do was to find someone that I would be willing to sponsor. Now, I've been on the platform for 2 years now. I have well over 1,000 steam power. It's not fantastic. I'm not, I'm not up in the 1%, but it doesn't matter because 1,000 steam power allows you to do a lot of things. If you're sponsoring a person who comes in with 15 steam power, 3 steam power, whatever the case may be, it allows for myself to be a good sponsor for someone who comes in. Now, as I'm talking about this, I'm putting it out there as an idea for other people to do as well. If you're a steam greeter, if you are engaged in the mentorship program, when a person comes in, these could be some valuable things to do. But what I had thought was that I would invite a friend and I would sponsor that friend. And what I would do is I would have that friend go through each and every step of what it means to come on. I would not coach. I would not be there to give step 1, step 2, step 3. What I would do is I would ask my friend, I would tell my friend, I would like to sponsor you to experiment and try out this new social media platform called Steam It. And then what I would do is I would just give them the link and ask that person to report back to me what it is that they're experiencing. So how was the signing up process? How did you find it? And I would chronicle and I would jot down what my friend was going through and step by step try to understand what makes Steemit difficult for newcomers who are not familiar with cryptocurrencies, because I would intentionally choose someone who really doesn't know anything about cryptocurrencies, because that's the best example that you really need to get. We need to find people who know very little about the system and then seek out their experience to understand how the system can be improved. So I would ask this person to, create a profile, tell me how it was, what could have made it better, what could have made it easier, or was it just simply an easy process? And then just have them mess around with the site and ask me questions. And in the meantime, get feedback from this friend of mine about what they found difficult, what they found enjoyable, what they didn't find enjoyable, what does this mean, what does that mean, and get the feedback and what this would do in the future for those who could do something about it. Let's say, for example, it is the Steemit team creates this sponsorship program, but then on the one side, they have these newcomers who are willing to share their experience. And then on the other side, have developers and a round table of people who can sit down and say, okay, we've heard this from 1, 2, 5, 10, 15 people are now saying the same thing, that this particular thing in the Steemit platform or on the Steemit blockchain, they find unpleasant or difficult. And then that crew or that team of people can then decide whether to go into development, to change the code, whatever needs to be done, change the front end of the website, but just to take in the experience of what newcomers could share with us about what they're going through. At the same time, having a sponsor also means that there is less of a likelihood that the person would leave, because obviously if my friend comes into the system, and believe it or not, I may actually do this because I wanted to do this, but then I was told that this is not the best time to have development on the Steem blockchain and the Steemit platform, because listen, whatever Steemit does, whatever goes on with the Steemit system, it can be stolen by the Hive High Council. Plain and simple. I don't mince my words. So this would not be the greatest time to invest a lot in development. This would be the greatest time to just simply get an understanding of the system, do the best that we can with what we have at the moment, and then prepare for a future in which some of these ideas could then be actualized. So I wanted to do this because I wanted to have a better understanding of what people go through. But being a sponsor and having more than 1,000 Steem power would mean that my friend would get to experience what it means to get an upvote, what it means to have a reward paid out at the end. Because in the past, I did a Tino take where I talked about the retention problem, and I talked about how people come into the system and they're very disappointed because they were sold one idea, they came in and they didn't have that experience, and so people lose their infatuation and they leave. So in this sponsorship, there's also a way to resolve the retention problem. So if Steem greeters were to do this, if the mentors of Steem were to do this, then I think this would really help to reduce the retention, to address the retention problem and reduce the number of people who are leaving because they have from the very beginning a good experience. Not a singular handout. Let me be clear about that. Because there are people who have said to me, people have shared with me how they felt very disappointed. I had one person share with me that when they came into the Steemit system and they were posting up, there would a comment would be left, great post, I really enjoyed it. So, the person feels good. It's like, wow, I wrote a post and somebody commented on me, but then a couple of days later, another post, and then the same exact comment. Hey, great post. I really enjoyed it. And then after 3 or 4 times, the person went to the other profile and realized that this was just a bot. And this bot was just throwing up comments. And we know why, because these tactics are ways of getting people's attention so that you then go follow that person, or maybe you then go upvote that person. But this person told me that they were very disappointed. I mean, saddened. They were saddened by this idea that this false sense of somebody's interested in what it is that I'm writing. And that person was very disappointed and stopped writing posts. These are small little issues that create a very huge problem if not addressed. So sponsorship does not entail, hey, I give you a nice upvote today and then you don't hear from me in another 3 months. Sponsorship entails that you take on the person, you help that person come into the system, and then hopefully over time that person develops their own followers. But that person at least stays, doesn't leave, and that person has a positive experience that then when they start to, because after a while, when they start to increase their steam power and they start to understand how the system works, then I could ask my friend, hey, why don't you become a sponsor for someone else? Why don't you pull someone else into the system the way that I pulled you into the system if you're having a good experience? Because that's important. If the person is having a good experience, and if they're not having a good experience, to understand why they are not having that good experience, and then to pass on the word to people like the witnesses, the Steam It team, Steam It Inc., the developers, to say, hey, people are complaining about this. Can we do something to change this so that we don't lose more people? So that was my Steam It sponsorship experiment. I will be reflecting on whether I will do that or not. And I will see if there are any of my personal friends who may want to, who have the time, and obviously who would be interested in the idea to do this little experiment, and then I will report on that to see how that goes, and if it turns out to be something constructive. And obviously I would include in that the use of the Steam diaries, because that's that would be the best place for the person that I'm sponsoring or you're sponsoring to just simply record what it is that they're experiencing with the Steam It app. Now, congratulations to the Freewriters community. They've reached 1,300 people in the community. Unfortunately, they've fallen out of the trending, and that's because there's a lot of other communities that are rising up, and that's great. The Steam It team has given out a lot of good delegations, and obviously with those delegations means that communities are being rewarded more and are more active. So it was only a question of time before those communities rose up higher in the ranks, and Freewriters would kind of fall down a bit, but not too much. But I'm happy to see that there's a lot more participation in the Freewriters community. I have a small disappointment in that I'm discovering that there's a lot of milking going on, and that's kind of sad. So for my part, I know who you people are, and you have been muted. You will not get any more upvotes from me. I hope that other people will look into the fact that you're just milking the system, and that they will not give you, because there's some nice rewards being given out to the Freewriters community, and unfortunately those rewards are being sucked out of the system, more than likely heading over to Hive. But hey, this is the situation we find ourselves in. Eventually, this will all get cleaned up with a community effort and a lot of collaboration between everyone. This will be cleaned up, hopefully. But I wrote my third Freewrite, Gene Codes, 7 Life Energies. This is the bombshell of my passion. The 7 Life Energies is what opened my eyes up to the world of understanding that human nature has patterns to it. Human nature has a program to it. Human nature has a sense to it. And the 7 Life Energies was something that I came across in the year 2000, the summer of 2000. And it's basically the idea that each and every person, each and every human being is born with one of 7 natural life energies. You're born with this within your genetics, within your aura, within your soul. And each of these life energies gives you a certain perspective of how you see life, how you behave, but it also makes you part of a group of people that holistically make up humanity, make up a society, make up a nation. And the 7 life energies are the dynamic aggressives, dynamic assertives, dynamic supportives, creative assertives, adaptive aggressives, adaptive assertives, and adaptive supportives. Now, I won't get into each one of those now because I want to dedicate a free write to each and every one of those life energies. But since I'd like to end on a positive note, I'll give a couple little gems and jewels at the moment. One of the reasons why Steemit was not very successful over the years, in the last 4 years, is because there were no dynamic aggressives involved in the Steemit system. Now, dynamic aggressives are the natural driven leaders of life. I mean, these people are going to become leaders of something, no matter what kind of education, no matter what kind of situation they find themselves in life. Now, I won't go into all the 7 life energies because that's the starting point. The dynamic aggressive. This is the smallest group of any society, any nation, anything in life. About 1 in 200 people are a dynamic aggressive. So very likely that in your lifetime you won't meet any. And this small number is what allows them to really stand out. But this small number is also the reason why they have such a powerful energy. There's already enough chaos in the world today with these people in charge of things. So if there were more of them, we would have a destroyed world. But the reason why Steemit did not have a visionary movement up until this point is because there was never a dynamic aggressive leader of the Steemit system or the Steam system. And without dynamic aggressive leadership, you do not have growth. You do not have expansion. You sort of fall into a kind of egalitarian system where everything is just functional but not growing. So in this case now, we now have a dynamic aggressive in the Steam system. The Hive High Council and the Hive system does not have a dynamic aggressive. They do not have dynamic aggressive leadership. Now, I don't know a whole lot about Justin Sun, and I don't know what his plans are, but I do know this. He's a dynamic aggressive. So things are going to happen whether we like them or not, because dynamic aggressives are driven people with very large goals. They surround themselves with other people who can handle the details, but they handle the larger picture. And hopefully that larger picture includes the growth of Steam, because dynamic aggressives are very keen to understand if something can work or not and how it could work. Then they seek out people because they're very charismatic. They draw people in and then they get things done. But if the dynamic aggressive sees that the system does not have a future, well, it gets sold off. Sorry to be blunt and crude about it. So far, Steemit is still up. So this whole thing about Justin Sun is coming in because he wants to do a pump and dump, I don't know. Maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. Maybe he sees something in the future that we don't see. We'll find out. But I can assure you this. Hive does not have that. And I'll say this last thing. I'm not concerned about Hive being the winner in all of this, because they don't have a vision of the future. I can assure you that there are far more people that are in the Hive system who are here at Steemit watching what we're doing, and that there's hardly anyone over at the Hive system watching what they're doing. We're not going to be copying them. I can assure you of that, because they have too many flaws and they've done things wrong. They're going to be copying us. So it is important that we make positive decisions that help the Steemit system move forward, knowing that whatever we do constructively will be stolen. Thank you for listening.